Welcome to r/agedlikemilk, where MAGA doesn't stand the test of time. Who would have thought? On April 30th, Josh Smith of Montana Knife Company said you won't have to worry about tariffs if you buy American. But last week, he realized his costs are going up because he imports equipment and steel. And so do his suppliers. In my opinion, so many people aren't aware of how much they import. What, you expect a MAGA to actually know what's going on in the world and how things work? You're laughing. Turns out, made in America doesn't mean the raw materials magically teleport into the factory. Also, there's a company who literally just assembles the entire product besides one or two pieces overseas, and then gets it here, finishes it off, and says it's made in America. If I get an iPhone made in China and replace it all by parts made in America, was it ever really made in China? Oh no, according to these guys, if I get a fully assembled phone and add an American case on it, all of it is made in America. My bad for being so stupid. US job cuts reach 806,383 so far in 2025, highest for January to July since 2020. Shit, you know your economy's doing so amazing when you're beating job loss numbers from pandemic-era layoffs. If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. If I win, you're 3 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen. Brightest economic future for billionaires or the everyday person? Because there's a big difference, President Poopy Diaper. Not everyone can just eat cake. Woke judges are undermining the rule of law. Should the House consider articles of impeachment? This you? We're not the party who abuses the impeachment power. Until you're the ones in power and then abuse them all you want. The Republican Party bitches, moans and cries when not in power and fucks everything up when they're in power. Join ice.gov. Wait, so we are relevant? Eat a bag of dicks. What's with MAGA taking pride in being called shits, trashes, pedo, and thinking they look cool when someone tells them directly in their faces how they are piece of shit morons? Like, can you explain to me, a European, how they can be that fucked up in the head? You're rewarding them. They take pleasure in being pieces of shit. We're to the point where our government is trolling us on the subject of child rape. Drunk on power and vainglory. Speaking of South Park, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of the Harley Davidson riders from South Park. Anyone else remember them? Yeah. The Papaya Palpatine cycle. I make a stupid decision, something really bad happens, but, you know, I convince my followers the problem is now actually magically solved, and then, I reverse my stupid decision. Too much winning. Oh shit, you missed something there. There needs to be a blame Biden subroutine in there. I think that's just r/conservative. I should not have clicked that link. Just some mods name-calling everyone they disagree with a liberal. As if that's a slur. What do you mean? When me, your gay guy reading stuff, gets called a liberal? I cry myself to sleep at night. When people call me like a liberal propaganda machine, like, I cry myself to sleep every night. It really hurts my feelings. It's an ugly day for democracy when a sitting US president running for re-election uses the Department of Justice to indict and arrest his leading opponent. And 2 years later, Abbott orders arrest of Democrats who fled Texas. But my opponents were against me doing something like really scummy and gerrymandering an entire state, you know, so we can own all the congressional districts. So they left out of protest, but I want to do my scummy things, so they got to get arrested. It is crazy how hell-bent Republicans are about driving straight into authoritarianism. Authoritarianism and pedophilia have been the only values of conservatism since the dawn of human politics. Wait, you also forgot greed and selfishness. You forgot racism too. And also the desire to kind of just break everything they see. And being snowflakes, can't forget that. 30,000 lies in his first term. God, I'm not a religious person, but I pray for whoever had to count all of them. Trump's White House has no plans to require health insurance to cover IVF services, despite promising to do so on the campaign trail. Oh, wait, no. Oh, just ignore the fact that Trump promises free IVF for women if elected. Because, you know, you expect the compulsive liar to actually, like, do what he said. I mean, if the thing he said was positive in any way, you expect him to do that? Not in my MAGA America. You know, left is right, right is left, down is up, north is south, 2 plus 2 is 3. And if you disagree with MAGA, you're one of those stupid liberals and nothing else. Hey chat, if you're one of those woke people waiting to get owned by some MAGA, that is 100% going to happen by the way, you should totally support this gay guy reading stuff by pressing the like and subscribe button, because it helps a lot. Anyways, back to the video. Imagine that. Imagine believing CNN polls. Cat turd, back at it again, with more brain-dead takes that last all of, maybe at most, a couple of months. What would we do without his stupidity that makes you want to bash your head against a brick wall? Breaking news, CNN's Harry Enton surprised that Trump's approval among GOP has risen amid Epstein backlash. Imagine that. Because the GOP loves pedos. That is the correct response to his statement. To tell him you aren't surprised, as MAGA loves pedos, so of course the polls go up when Trump is actively protecting them. He's not just protecting pedos, he's protecting himself. But he's definitely not on the list, guys, trust me. Maybe he's just taking away research? January 2025. Oh god, time to try the impression again. Hopefully I'm better? Worse? I don't know. I'm not gonna take away anybody's vaccines. Is that good enough? And August 2025. RFK Jr. cancels $500 million in federal funding for mRNA vaccine research. Oh well, all our vaccines will be coming from Europe anyway, where our scientists will be working. And where all of our American scientists will be working. We've become a banana republic, only with the largest standing military ever. I'm sure this will end really well. Project Paperclip 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, that is something I wouldn't be surprised happening, I mean, if it hasn't happened already, is some sort of brain drain type thing. With all the stupidity of what's going on in the US, are the best and brightest minds really gonna stick around? Aged like milk on both fronts. Hey, double aged like milk would be moldy cheese, not just cheese. Ugh. So this is definitely gonna be a good combination, isn't it? Never started a war against a country. I mean, they've done acts of war, but okay. But he did start a war against pedophilia. Do I need to say anything? I think I've covered it enough for you guys to know that that's just possibly one of the worst takes we've ever had. Oh, but trust me, Epstein's best buddy is definitely doing that. Anyway, buy another $50 hat. Show me the money, man. Where's those reparations at? God, I've never had this guy on my channel before, but do we do the impression? What's the saying? Probably something about regretting not doing things. Oh, let's try it. Breaking news. Trump is gonna do it. Doge bombshell. Trump has now said on 2 different speeches that he wants to give a $5,000 refund back to taxpaying Americans for all the waste, fraud, and abuse that's been found. Meanwhile, Democrat reparation howler Rep. Jasmine Crockett says, what are people going to do with $5,000? These out-of-touch elite parasites have no clue how desperate working Americans are struggling. Alex Jones is now live, breaking everything down. That was probably horrible, wasn't it? But, hey, despite the incredibly shit impression, where's the money, huh? Like everything else, the GOP just thrives on bullshit. And you were never gonna get that money. Got that. Yeah, they're never actually gonna give average people extra cash directly. Anyone who thought they would is a moron. They actually issued direct stimulus checks in both the 2009 financial crisis and during COVID, but excluded high earners. So people would reasonably believe it feasible, although COVID PPP loans were a huge grift to the rich. If he could legally reward only his voters, he would absolutely do that right before illegally running a 3rd term. That was a contentious election year in 2020, and they gave trillions to corps, not just the PPP. Then the Fed moved heaven and earth to prevent the rich from losing money. And apparently, we now socialize downturns with profits near tax-free in good times. To all those MAGA wanting $5,000 from the government, wouldn't you consider that a pretty socialist idea? That you get handouts from the government? You're telling me that the anti-communist, anti-socialist MAGA was all for getting money from the government? This is preposterous! I thought anyone who wanted that was a freeloader. So, who's being brainwashed again? Lefty memes are hilarious. You are the ones being brainwashed. There is no list. This you? Dear Leader Trump announces he will release the Epstein files and woke is trembling. The fuck is woke? They're saying that as a group. Woke isn't a group, even according to your stupid definitions of it. No more protection for pedophiles. Yeah, that really lasted long, didn't it? Is it really that hard to stick to a slogan as simple as no more protection for pedophiles? Funny enough, I found the actual shirt and I think I'm getting one. It's good to remind people that we're not forgetting about this, honestly. Remember when Trump ran for re-election and simultaneously went with 2 contradictory slogans? Make America great again and keep America great? Which is it, lol? Oh, but we are the greatest, just not at any of the good stuff. Oh, this fucking guy. Anyone who burns the American flag should be arrested for treason. And like 3 weeks later? Yeah, these don't last long, do they? Free speech should be all speech, especially the speech we hate. Even that aged. Because now they're trying to withhold federal disaster funding for states and cities who boycott Israel. You can have whatever opinion you want on that, but withholding federal funding for boycotting something, I don't think that seems like free speech to me. Back in 2020, oh, the tech billionaires are oppressing us. And half a decade later, God, it's really been that long. Time flies, I guess. I like the oppression, but, you know, they let me say the N-word and the R-word, but don't say negative stuff about what we like. 2020. Oh, that thing is cool. I really like Thing. And 2025. If you like Thing, you should be executed on live TV. From these fucking people. Figure it out, man. In 2020, these people were lying to sound moderate. This is MAGA with the mask off. Something I've always found mental about MAGA is their pure disregard for human life. A podcast I'd recommend everyone to listen to is something called The Necessary Conversation, And the way, not naming names, one of the people on there that is a MAGA has such a disregard for people dying that either don't agree with them or don't live in the US is insane. And it's not just there. I've heard bullshit like that being spread by conservatives and MAGA for so long. Happens to human empathy? I don't know, but it's certainly not resonating with some of those people, is it? The internet is forever. My god, imagine getting triggered by a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Laughing crying emoji, laughing crying emoji. Oh, but let's just ignore the fact that we said like a year ago, boycott Dunkin' Donuts, pass it on. Every Republican nowadays is the epitome of every accusation is a confession. That, and also political narcissism. That's a term that I think they resonate with pretty well. You know, everyone else can go and die, but the second it affects me, that's when I start caring. They call liberals snowflakes, and then they say shit like this guy. Total projection. Well, the reason they call liberals snowflakes is because liberals have compassion for other people. Absolutely, MAGA are the biggest snowflakes. They constantly cry about hearing happy holidays, masks, and fact-checking. I thought facts don't care about your feelings, MAGA. Oh no. Wow. No one in their right mind should want to escalate the Russia-Ukraine conflict into nuclear war. I mean, okay, that's a pretty agreeable take. So, no escalation it is, and trying to find a peaceful resolution where Ukraine gets their illegally stolen land back is a pretty good perspective. But let's just see how long it stands. Sometimes, no foreign war and peace requires big bad America to step in. Essentially calling yourselves the baddies is certainly the self-awareness of all time. To step in and remind them who the fuck we are. Peace through strength is exactly what I voted for. Even with what Mr. Liar was campaigning for is that he wanted just peace. So he doesn't actually want peace, and he wants to... What's the best way of describing it? Swing his dick around. That's the right term. And you guys can't help but cope and call it peace through strength. No, that's just called aggression. These people always seem to have selective amnesia. Another thing to add to my massive list of things these motherfuckers have. Another thing to add to the list of many different things that these motherfuckers use in their arsenal to cope. They don't view these blatant flip-flops as hypocrisy because they don't actually believe anything. Dear leader told them what their reality is. The fact their new reality is the complete opposite of what it was yesterday is irrelevant. They will believe something else tomorrow when dear leader says something new. This is, quite literally, the extent of their critical thinking skills. How these people work is they don't justify their own beliefs, and they don't have their own beliefs. It's just that they justify dear leader because their only beliefs is dear leader's always right. It's always a justification of dear leader, not their own actual beliefs. But that's where the political narcissism comes in, only when it doesn't affect them. Before versus after, what do you guys think? Cat turds, again. Has he lobotomized himself more by picking his nose too hard? Probably. If you're in any government and you're protecting gang rapists and pedophiles, there's an 100% chance you're a pedophile. Turned into, here we go, this account says Trump's a pedo. Imagine believing this piece of shit troll. Are you seeing it now, huh? Cat turd is protecting Trump, so is that a bit of a self-report? Why hasn't Pam Bondi released the Epstein files yet? Because they want to cover dear leader's ass? You thought that phase 1 was going to be the first of many? No, that was the entire Epstein documents, with like half of it very obviously redacted. I don't give a fuck about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. Because dear leader told you to. There's really not a thought behind those eyes, is there? The Epstein list is the ultimate Trump cards. Ha 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 ha. I think the only trump card that's here is denying, contradicting yourself, having a hissy fit, and then soiling your diaper. That's the only trump card that I see. I hope this means that we can stop talking about this stupid shit. You think a pedophile ring is classed as stupid shit? The GOP, everyone. Cat Turd is literally an alcoholic. He said he has been in 50 bar fights. Also known as, he's been punched in the face 50 times. Gunther is a cop that got canned for an undisclosed reason. These people are angry and stupid. He said he's been in 50 bar fights. Keyword being, he said. More likely, he's perpetually in his mum's basement. Well yeah, where else would you live if you're like averaging fucking 70-something tweets a day for like 3 or 4 years? Talk about chronically online. And this is a reminder for you guys, despite what's going on, feel free to go out and about, you know, to a park or a cafe, enjoy life. Enjoy life, because there's still nice parts, and a reminder to take care of yourselves. Also, if you're cat turd, get out your mum's basement. Also, been in 50 bar fights doesn't mean he's actually won 50, or any bar fights.